Grew up in a house full of music. Your mom had a bust of Chopin on the piano, I believe.
Yes.
What kind of music did they spin during the day?
Well, you know, Mom loved classical music. Sometimes she would play it during the day, but as soon as Dad got home from work, he'd light up a Winston and sit down at the piano and start playing.
Really?
And you know, they loved, of course, they were raised during the big band era, and they loved that. They loved, you know, all the piano player. They loved, my mind's going blank now. Teddy Wilson, Count Basie, I can't think of the guy's name that wrote Ain't Misbehaved. Fats Waller. They would play Fats Waller around the house. They would play, they liked Dixieland too. And I grew up here in Dixieland, and I recently just played with one of the greatest Dixieland bands in the world, Carnet Chop Suey.
Fun.
And I was so glad to be able to play that music that I heard.
Brian
as a
Casserly,
child.
I believe.
Yes. And all-star cast, wonderful group of guys. But I would hear, you know, the Dukes of Dixieland, Louis Armstrong. My mama didn't care for Louis as much as Dad, but and then also they had Albert Ammons and Pete Johnson, Boogie Woogie. And to this day, I think Boogie Woogie is the most exciting music I've ever heard. It's just, it has incredible energy, and I don't know anyone that can be sad when Boogie Woogie is being played in the room. It is the most exciting music that I know of. You know, I mean, maybe Saber Dance might equal that, but no, that's what Mom and Dad would play, and Mom would read music, and Dad played strictly by ear. And I can credit my dad with giving me my first blues lick, because one Saturday afternoon, and I had just started on the guitar, and he said, "Hey Tom, why don't we play something together?" And I go, "Gosh, Dad, I don't know really how to play, you know." And so he said, "Well, let's do St. Louis Blues." And he showed me this little part, boom ba doo 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 doo, G, B flat, B natural, and in a shuffle rhythm. And he said, "Now when I point to you, you play that, okay?" You know. And so and then he'd point to me, and I go doo 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 doo. Well, you know, thank you, Dad, for that, because that concept of, and I'll get technical on you now, but where you hold the root note and go from the flat third to the perfect third is used in blues and boogie all through. So that little concept that got it, and I didn't know harmonically what I was doing, but I heard that sound and recognized it, and so that was a big help. And of course everyone listened to 45s. Sgt. Pepper's hadn't been released yet, you know, which changed everything to FM album format. And there were, my godparents' daughter, Cindy Krieg, gave me a little box thing with a handle full of 45s. And in there were two records that I figured out on my own. I didn't have any help from my neighbor Bob Bosch or Jim Stelbreaker to help me. I did it on my own, and that was Let's Go Trippin' by Dick Dale and the Deltones. And, well, the 45 was Maybelline by Chuck Berry, but I flipped it over and learned In the Wee Wee Hours, which to me is one of the greatest blues songs ever recorded. It is. It's fascinating, the atmosphere on that record. And so I struggled all Sunday afternoon putting it back in each little thing. But while I was doing that, you cannot ignore the incredible piano that's going on in there, you know, and that's where Johnny got into my subconscious, you know.
Right.
And but that was how you did it, you know. And of course, when you really start adding things up, you see that even the ventures, even country music, even jazz, even rock and roll had blues licks in it.
Yeah.
And the concept of how to use the scale and bend notes and all those things were used in all these other styles of music.
Right.
So it was, you know, wide open. We were trying to grab every little lick and technique and things possible. There were the only books written on how to play blues was for finger picking blues, you know.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, these kids sit in their bedrooms at their parents' house on a computer and they're getting every little detail and nuance and stuff. And wow, it's amazing what they can do. I think there's something to be said for doing it the hard way, because it's not just something you're copied, you own it. When you can finally do it, you own it, you know. So I don't know, Dave, where's it all heading towards, and will the blues survive, and has the blues morphed into another entity?
Let's come back to that.
Okay.